Well, hello, General Kenobi. Hello there. Uh, we're off to a swimming start already. So welcome. My name's Nathan, and it's great to be doing this. I love Radiohead. I love OK Computer. Great album, and so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to discuss it. I'll grab my pick here. So what they do in this album, there's like you could dissect this album for years and years and years. One common thing I've noticed that they do over and over again is a certain type of chord progression, specifically like a one chord in the progression, which like literally that one chord change makes it sound so beautiful and like melodic and atmospheric and deep and all this stuff. And so really quick, let's delve into some very basic music theory first to get some context, to get some understanding, to get some. It's hard to hold your hands in shape while you're doing this. That there's your body kind of shakes a little. So a lot of times when you have when you have the tonic of a key, like if you're in the E major scale, then your one chord is going to be E, and then likely if your one chord's E, just E major, then your four chord is going to be A major. And the opposite is true. So conversely, if you have E minor as your root, then you're likely going to have A minor as the 4. And so here's where the magic happens. It's so simple in a way. Like I didn't even notice this for like a long time. I did not notice how they use this, but I was like, once I realized, I'm like, wow, this is incredibly simple, and yet they're using it in such like an interesting way. So what they do is so cool. I get excited talking about this stuff. Is they start in a lot of their songs, Radiohead. They start. They don't start the song necessarily with this chord, but at a certain point they have a major chord, a major 1 chord. We'll just call it a 1 because let's say the key is. Let's say you're in F, and at one point they have a G sharp major, which leads into this next chord. It gets too confusing theory-wise. Like, okay, this is the 1 chord. Okay, so this is the 3 chord, right? And then it gets too confusing. So just for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that whenever they have this chord, it's just the 1. It's the tonic for that time being. Just because it's easier to explain than get into all the complicated theory of what's the actual root of the song. Are you substituting chords? Like, it gets too confusing and it saps the life out of music. It really sucks the interest I have out of music theory personally. I just like when things are explained in kind of an easy, like straightforward way to make it like it's more fun that way. So what they do is they have the major 1 at any point in the song, some point, and then they have the chord, the awesome chord. Some of you may already know this. They go, instead of a major 4, they go to a minor 4. And now that doesn't seem like too much by itself. It seems pretty straightforward and simple, which is what I thought too. And I was blown away by just. I sound like an infomercial. I was blown away by all of this. I didn't expect for $19.99 for this great deal. But seriously, like not literally, as much figuratively as I could be without literally, was blown away by all of the uses they had for this. Because normally, in Western scales, you don't have the mix and match. You either have major, major, minor, minor, and even sometimes you have minor to major, but you don't naturally ever, naturally just meaning you don't find this conventionally in music theory. You'd have to do some type of like chord substitution to get this to happen, but you don't normally have the major first to the minor fourth in Western music theory. But a lot of times you do have it in like more Hispanic influence, like flamenco, or you have it in Middle Eastern style. For instance, like the. Or when you have a drone, like. So it's more of a Eastern scale as opposed to a Western one, which uses that. And so they use it to great effect in a ton of songs. And so use it in a lot of their early songs. It's a very big motif of early Radiohead, and today we're just going to look at its applications to OK Computer. And so we're going to go through the songs here, and then we're going to do some analysis. And that is actually, that repeating minor 4-1, minor 4-1 over and over again is actually the start to Airbag. Da, da, I don't know if I can get that low. Da, 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 and it just, so it does that 4 times. That's 1, that's 2, 3, and then, that's 4, and then they hold it. In the next. So basically, that's, they use that for the introduction of the song, and they have the riff over it. So that's playing, da, da, da. And I thought it stopped there. But further down the rabbit hole I went. It's like we're not only an infomercial here, we're like, we're doing Alice in Wonderland, we're Lewis Carroll. We're all sorts of things in this fun video. And for anyone wondering, I'm not currently on any substances. This is kind of just how I am. It's just too boring to just be like, this is what they do. Just give it some life, give it some energy. So, the next song is a song you might not expect. I'm just kidding, you might expect it, because it's in most of the songs. Well, it's in 6 of the 12 songs, so it's like a 50-50 chance. The next song is Paranoid Android. Gone from a great height. So they do it twice, as you've noticed. And again, I don't want to get into the complicated. Okay, we're doing good on time. I just want to keep it going pretty quickly. I don't want to get into the complicated music theory of what's the root, and then okay, this is a minor 4, and this is a 1. Okay, so when they do it again here, well, that's technically a 2. It's like it gets too complicated, in my opinion. Maybe I just don't know enough about music theory. This is just how I like to approach it. So I probably should. Rain down, come on, rain down. And so that's the only time they use it in the song. And, well, every time, kind of like when Airbag, every time that riff repeats, they do that. Otherwise, it's not in the song. It's only in that part of the song. When this section of the song, this breakdown, repeats a couple of times, as you know, and they use that chord progression with the minor 4s and the 1s only in that part of the song, but they do it a couple times because they repeat, if that makes sense. So again, they're doing this. The second go around, and again they're doing it, and it's pretty cool because they pretty organically weave 2 of them in there. And so I just wanted to get kind of show all of them, and then we can do some analysis. So I will go into deeper and kind of like the mood of each song, but there it is. It's really cool. The next song is and it just keeps repeating, and that's Subterranean, Homesick Alien. They play it way up here, they do that, but it's very hard on acoustic, so. There's minor 4th, back to the G. And so there it's used yet again, and that's the only part of the song they use it in 2, whenever they have that, when they're doing that, they just kind of keep repeating it. And I just say that the only part in the song, just because it's not like they use it in a different context, and then later in like a complete, like it's not like they do that, then they do that like up here in the chorus or something. That's the only part they use it in the song, but it doesn't mean they only do it once. As they repeat, this chord progression, that is featured in there. Next is probably the song, the song where it's most easily spotted. I'm gonna put the pick down. Actually, we should keep the pick back. Well, because this one has a bit of an offbeat feel, you know, more syncopation. And immediately, you already know what it is. So there it is again, and I keep saying that with like, there it is again, because it's just so exciting actually, cause just that they could have the same thing, but it sounds different each time. It has a different way of expressing itself, and it just blows my mind, honestly. Not literally, but honestly. My brain were exploded right now. I wouldn't be here talking to you. Yes, you, Adam. I don't know if there's an Adam out there watching. I just thought of Adam because it's A, first letter of the alphabet, A. Anthony, Alicia. So grab the pick again, just, you know, we're going to put the pick back. From your sleep and drown into today, and it goes back. We escape. We escape. And then it starts again. Such a beautiful, beautiful song. I just love this album. And they think one point they may incidentally use that minor 4 and a major 1 in like, just, yeah, incidentally, in like one of the parts where they're like, breathe, keep breathe, and like that whole, I guess bridge, would it be called a bridge? They use it somewhere in there. They might. I'm not sure, but that one's really incidental, and it's not too big. And also, I'm kind of too lazy to look it up right now. And so they skip ahead. They don't use it for a couple of songs. And it's probably because it's a very dark sounding thing, and they the other songs have different atmospheres. Like Let Down is more bittersweet. Yeah, it's an electioneering. So what is it? Yeah, it's like I was down. I forgot about it because it's a little more indirect. It goes minor 4 to just a C, which I guess in this case would be a 3, and it's a major 3, and then to A7, which is very close to, you know, to an A. And if you want, you know, that's a little more of a better visual depiction of it. And they also, I trust I can rely on UFO. I'm not really doing it that well because it's more of a riff song. So it's a little harder to hear, but there it is in the background of that song. I'm glad I remembered that, or rather looked it up and not remembered it. The next song they use it in, I'll play it. You'll probably pick it up right away. You heard it immediately. So yeah, no surprises. And just kind of like with Airbag, it goes back and forth. And lastly, we're going to do Lucky. I was like, is it Letdown or Lucky? Because I was caught up on the L words for some reason. But Letdown doesn't have it. But Lucky does. And it's very incidental. Wait, hold on. So right there, it's a B7 to an E minor. And B7, kind of like with the A7 in electioneering, it's very similar to just a regular B7. And to show it a little more easily, it's like... minor. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's aside from exit music. I'm like 99% sure those are all the instances of it in the album. And so now to do some analysis. So it's the same chord, and again, I want to check how we're doing on time. Okay, we're doing solid. I just want to cap it out before 30 minutes. So it's the same chord progression, but the context and the instrumentation around it really impacts how you feel about it. So, for instance, in Airbag, which has the open chords or the open notes, but it's still the same, But it sounds a little more beautiful, I guess, with a couple of the open notes thrown in while you're playing the bass of the D minor to A chord. It immediately starts off with a minor, the D minor. And then it resolves, because when you have a minor fourth chord, it really, really wants to resolve. You can just hear it. That was the wrong chord. And so what it does is immediately the riff starts, and you're playing that in the background. So immediately you're introduced in the album to like something is wrong kind of thing, because it needs to resolve right away instead of starting on like the tonic. So you're thrust in the album, and it sets the mood really well because it doesn't start on a pleasing chord. It starts on something that begs to be resolved right away. And so it creates, and with the riff in the background, a riff that basically highlights the notes of those chords. In a sense, like arpeggiates them. It creates a very menacing feel. It's menacing, dark, brooding, but also very beautiful because it's a very beautiful progression. And it's cool how you can look at all the different ways it's expressed. Like in Paranoid Android, for instance, they're doing the same thing, but it has a little bit of more of like a mellow, slower vibe. Well, I think you actually hold the chords for longer in Airbag, but you're strumming slower in Paranoid Android, which creates for a slower feel. And so this like breakdown, I guess, of the song, it's more mellow, but it's still dark, and so it's therefore it's cool. It's like a syllogism. It's more mellow thanks to the ambiance of the song, because they have it's very basic. They have like some synth sounds in the background, and I think that's basically it. The synth sounds. Do they have drums? I can't remember if they have drums or not in that part of the song. So it really just goes to show you kind of how you voice how you make the atmosphere and the melody around the song. It really creates how you hear those chords, because you don't like in Airbag, for instance, you don't really hear it because it's just kind of like the support holding up the riff, and so you focus on the riff, and so it really just goes to show. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm saying a bunch of times and just saying it just goes to show you. And I'm putting my hands on the guitar like this, looking all serious. What it shows to go you. How was a better way to express that? It implies it demonstrates that so much of music is just the context and what you put around chords. The melody, the harmony, the atmosphere, the choice of instruments you use. It's really inspiring, honestly. And similarly, in like the next couple of songs, the atmosphere is really, really established by the stuff outside those chords. So, in Subterranean Homesick Alien, they have all sorts of spacey, reverberating, delay-based, phase-shifting effects, which creates, it's like an alien-type tone and very atmospheric, and so it draws your attention away almost from the underlying chords. And here, just like with the other ones, it's resolution. It starts off, Airbag starts off with, and then Paranoia. Here, Subterranean, it's, oh yeah, the same. It's the same, exact position of Paranoid Android. And same with exit music. So they all have the minor and then resolve to the major, which creates immediately a sense of tension, especially in Subterranean, since it comes at the end of the phrase. It creates this really nice sense of resolution to end the phrase, and then you create the tension again by going to a G7 and then G6. So the tension really builds up. And exit music, immediately, you're thrust into the tension, and then it resolves. And then some more kind of, it does some major chords, but in the context of this, it's also very uneasy because the song has the minor 4 in it, which it's just unsettling. And what helps there is the atmosphere of having no atmosphere, because whereas Alien, it had like phase shifting, it had like octave type effects, like reverb, all this stuff. The atmosphere is that the atmosphere basically is that there's no atmosphere. It's just a little bit of reverb, acoustic guitar, and nothing else beside that, and then it builds up over time, and it's super haunting because it's kind of like what's more scary, like a huge blaring orchestra doing like a horror theme, or just like like the Jaws theme. So a lot of times minimalism can be very frightening because it leaves nothing to the imagination in a way, or actually it leaves nothing and everything, and it's like some sort of strange paradox. Like I'm trying to sound like I'm some like insightful music teacher. Like it sounds both everything and nothing, but I don't know. It's like in Kung Fu Panda, where I'm like, it was within you all along. It's like just throwing out cliche phrases. The next song, No Surprises, it's the opposite, as you've probably noticed. Those keen observers, you keen observers, you've noticed. It starts on the major, then goes to the minor, which is more unsettling which is unsettling in its own way. It's not more unsettling. You can't really compare these things because it starts so innocently and sweetly with the high notes, which again are hard to play, with high notes, which are more innocent and sweet, angelic almost. They have a sort of, I think it's a vibraphone or a xylophone, or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Where they're playing really high notes, and it's outlining the F major triad. So it's very beautiful because it sounds so in key. It's all around F. The chord of F. It's every single note that's being played at that point is an F, is what I'm trying to say. In the F key, in the F chord. Man, I'm losing my marbles over here. And then so it's all sweet and innocent with just kind of how the chord they're using, the orchestration around it, and then they go to the unsettling minor, but everything else stays the same. What part? Okay. So they're playing that kind of dark melodic piece right there, that 5-note. Yeah, that's 5 notes, I think, right? 5-note piece, and it's very haunting because they go to the minor. Everything stays the same, but they go to the minor, so it's super haunting. And then, I also have electioneering. It's since the instrumental is that's the main part. I kind of like. I think it's a sitar going on. That, in my opinion, kind of draws away a lot of the well, not draws away in a bad way, but that takes a lot of the focus. So the chords here, just can rely on your boo, are not as can't be analyzed as much, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is I don't really know what to make of them. Basically, they're just it's just kind of a haunting sound in a haunting song. That's the best I can do with them. And then finally in I'm pretty sure I've covered everything, right? Yeah. And then finally in Lucky, the minor here is the resolution because it's an E minor. Well, except for a part which is an E Dorian minor, but you don't have to worry about that for now. So E, it sounds very dark, but you still want to resolve to the minor as opposed to a major because it's in a minor key. And so in this case, they're using the major. So if we were to play the B7. So that little motif, if we were to play that up here so you can do a little more easy visual. In this case, the B7, the major chord, which is usually the one you resolve to, is actually the one that creates the tension, which you have to resolve to the minor. We don't have to do anything, of course. We're all free and all that good stuff. We don't want to get into an existential debate now. That'd be fun. I like existential debates, but it's not the time and place. And so it's just cool. They use the major, which is you usually resolve from the minor to the major, but they're using the major to resolve to the minor because it's in a minor key. So just all sorts of insane stuff going. Well, I don't know if it's insane. People who are way more versed in music theory than me are probably like, yeah, that's just what they do. But it's just incredible in my opinion. And so I think we covered a vast majority of it. I took multiple takes of this just because I was really obsessing over getting everything right, and I'm just like, just do it, man, just go for it. So yeah, I'd love to hear comments. I really would. Just anything. If you thought if this was too long, if you'd like it even longer, if I covered stuff if I was too broad, if I was too specific, just anything. And I can't please everyone. Hit my chin there. I can't please everyone, but hopefully I can make these engaging and interesting for people. And the one thing I probably will just keep doing is kind of my wacky presentation style, because I'm just because it'd be boring for me otherwise. It'd just be too boring to just sit here and just drone on. But everything else, I'm open to at least consider possibly maybe doing a 50-50 chance of flipping a coin and deciding whether or not I could possibly choose to change. What I'm saying is I'm indecisive. So I'd love to hear comments, feedback, any suggestions, anything like that. All the stuff people have suggested on the Radiohead subreddit where I originally posted about this, I'd love to hear as well. And any analysis you have too, like, oh yeah, I noticed this too, and here's the effect it has. And anyone who's wondering about the minor 4 chord in other Radiohead songs, I'm gonna do that in another video too. So if you have any thoughts on that, we can talk about that in another video. I'm trying to focus kind of on OK Computer and the mood it sets today, and we're gonna definitely look at OK Computer stuff, other OK Computer stuff in the future. And also, if you have music theory questions, you can feel free to let me know. Oh, I was kind of confused when you're talking about the 1 and the 4, and because I'm thinking about also doing basic music theory videos, because music theory can be way too complicated when it really isn't. It's just how you explain it. If you make it fun and interesting, it's really easy to grasp, and that's how I learned. So before I ramble too long. It's been Nathan. It's been a pleasure. Well, it still is Nathan, assuming I still exist. But yeah, so it's been a pleasure to do this. Hope you all enjoy. Hope you're still watching. Hopefully, maybe you can subscribe, I don't even know what to say at this point, because more people who are interested in this than okay, we're past 30 minutes now. The more people who are interested in this, the more suggestions I get, then the more more time I can devote, the more the more engagement I can get. So yeah, why not subscribe, do whatever you want. It's free country, all that good stuff. It's been fun. Thank you. Goodbye.